Hey, everybody. If you want the full uncensored episode, be sure to click the link below to join the Fight Club on Patreon. And don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe.
It was Jonathan.
Boom. Oh, I was hurt right there. The first punch. Oh, yeah, he did. Thanks. Thanks.
I'm glad we had those old tapes to bring back a lot of memories.
That'll be a suspension. That'll be a fine. Nilan's going ballistic. He's a freaking madman.
I'm Chris Nilan, and this is the Raw Knuckles Podcast.
Stan, let me ask you, you see this fierce competitor on the screen next to you, Chris Nilan. Tell me about your first experience with Chris. I think you had told me you met him maybe when he was in college or juniors or something, and his approach to the game then. What was your experience?
Well, I think I'm not sure. I think did we play against you in when you were in college there? I think
we did one. Yeah, we did.
Yes, I wonder what was going on that day. But like I said about practice, I thought we went over and played Chris in the college thing, and we looked at, are these guys supposed to be running at us, or can we run them back, or what's going on here? I seen Chris playing there, and I guess the year he made Montreal, that he was asked to come and skate with us, and just to get ready for the season and everything. And I know if we run at Terry, run at this, and say, wow, what's wrong with this guy here? We don't usually do it. We don't take. We don't try to hurt somebody or take the body, but in the physical part of it, we all want to get back into shape for the way we played. And Chris comes skate with us, and I don't know if somebody asked him not to show up again because he was playing. Say, we knew he's drafted by Montreal and everything, and hey, you don't play that way. We're just trying to get in shape. And I think probably the first exhibition game or the first game of the season. Me and Chris got into a little tussle there. I think he took McTavish out, and the way he took him out, and probably McTavish had his head down and everything. But I played like Chris, and Chris played like I did. You were there to protect the players, and you knew your role, and you always got in there right away to show your goal scorers or better playmakers weren't bothered by anybody else. So me and Chris got in a tussle right off. I think it was the first game we got into. So we were at it. We never hurt each other. We never really got swinging. But the way Chris plays, he tied my arms up and I tied his arms up. So, right. Yeah. That's when I think that's the first time I got to meet Chris, certainly on the ice. And back in those days, we weren't, even though like Chris was from Boston, we weren't allowed to talk to each other. Like my friend I played with, Dougie Jarvis, all my minors, junior B, 3 years in Peterborough, and we never talked until we got out of hockey and retired. That's the way back then with the Bruins and the Canadians, right, worked. We weren't allowed to talk to them, or you don't care if you have a friend on the team nowadays. They go for dinner, they play together, they go for dinner, nothing. No way. If we ever got that, I think we'd be. You couldn't find us when they sent us down to minors. You'd never find us.
Yeah, you'd be gone. It's funny, John. The incident that Stan was mentioning is Fernie Flamin, former Boston Bruin, coached me in college at Northeastern. So he had talked to Harry and said, hey, could you bring the Bruins over and like play a friendly little game together? And we had a guy on our team at Northeastern. He was a short little guy named Mark Coates. And Mark Coates, during that game, and we weren't supposed to be hitting, no physical play at all. Mark Coates hip checked Mike Milbury. He hit him low with his ass. He hip checked him in the corner. And Milbury got up, was pissed off, and I don't blame him. And I was on the bench there, and next thing, all the Bruins came on the ice because Milbury got pissed at Coates and went after him. And then everybody come in, and I come off the bench, and who's there? Stan, Terry, I'm there. What the fuck am I doing here? This was supposed to be a friendly game. So it wasn't me it was Mark Coates. And I'll never forget that incident because the Bruins, we were supposed to play a full period, and have fun. after that incident, they left the ice, and that was it. I mean, I felt so bad because here I am on the ice with certainly all the guys I looked up to and grew up watching. I mean, I snuck in the Boston Garden all the time. I love the Bruins, everything about the Bruins. I love the attitude, the way they played, and that's what really got me into hockey, was watching all those guys, and then that thing happened. And the other, I got to tell you, the first time I met Stan was actually at Clark's in Boston. And I was in there with my friends. We were 18 years old. And Stan, you remember the bar. It was a big circular bar. You were down the very end, stand against the wall with your back against the wall. You were by yourself. And I'm with my friends. I'm there. Hey, let's go up and say hi to Stan. They're like, what are you, crazy? Fuck, he looks fucking tough. Fuck. I mean, so what? He's tough. We'll fucking go say hi. He's a Bruin. You know? We walked up. Hey, Stan, how you doing? Good, guys. You know, we were like so excited that you talked to us. You know, that's the closest you could get to guys. It was funny. Like those stories I never forget as a kid. And yeah.
No, thanks, Chris. That's one of the things, like in your own boss, and the people are so educated on the game and how you play and what you do. And I think that's why Boston, being a Bruin, and played my style. And we just had a thing for the lunch pail game. You worked hard, you did this, and people loved you because, like Chris, they loved you. Got in there for the guys, and helped them out. And sure, you had to fight for your job. You had to fight to make sure you stayed on the team. And you look at the people that watch the game, and they're very knowledgeable fans in Boston. And you played that physical game, took the body. Especially, I was a short little guy.
Yeah.
Right? But I thought I could handle myself pretty good, especially when I first went in the league.
Yeah, you could.
First went in the league, and I did challenge some bigger guys. But like I said, we looked after each other as a teammate. And if you run at John Rattel or Ricky Middleton or guys like that, our goal scorers. And Chris did the same job in Montreal, that we had to be there, and you knew your role. And I had Don Cherry behind me, too, as a coach.
He loved you.
The way he played. He never had to tell me to get on the ice.
He loved you.
In the back.
Right?
And
Don Cherry loved you.
Yeah, and it was nice because that's why I got my chance, I think. And I played the game that he liked, and the Bruins. That small arena was like, there was
Perfect.
no place to, no passes and no drop.
No place to hide.
Right? Yeah, that's what I said. Like, we played first few years against Montreal, probably one of the best clubs I've ever seen put together. But we could get on them. We dump them behind them, and we took the body. We didn't run them. We took the guy. You took a guy out, a Canadian. You took him out with some authority.
Yeah.
Right. If you got him caught along the boards, and if you want to, like I said, I took him out. I'm not just going to take him out. I'm going to take him, make sure I put him through the boards if I could. Right. And it was so small, gardens, that maybe Don didn't have the best system, but don't lose it to blow, and get it in deep and get on them and tie them up. But I knew the boards in Boston so well. You could hit the glass and that puck would drop straight down.
Oh, yeah.
And too bad for the defenseman, because he's got to get it off, get it to his forehand or backhand, and there was no time when we were on top of them. And like I said, when you took the body in Boston the way I played, you took it with authority. When you took a guy, you didn't today. You lucky to even rub a guy out, but you made sure if you could put him through the boards, you made sure you could.
And John, I remember the first fight Stan and I had was in Montreal, and it wasn't McTavish I hit. Somebody. No, I'm going to tell you. It was Bobby Miller, a local kid. And I knew Bobby. And anyway, I hit him hard, though. You came right after me. You're like, fucking no way, Knuckles. Came right after me.
Yeah, but the thing is, like Bobby Miller, our centerman change once in a while. Like we're the like a fourth line, but nowadays you get so many penalties. But we got to play a shift or two a period, right? And Montreal put their line out. We put our line out with the fourth line and that, and like you had to do something. You weren't out there to skate and think you're going to get goals. You were out there to tie the guys up, dump it in deep, take the body, right? They call it our type of play today. I don't know what they call it, Chris, an action line or do something line or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's the way we played. And like, what was nice about it, Don Cherry, as an example, my coach, when a guy got hurt, Smotzy got hurt one year, Cashman, on my side, it was good for me, but Cashman hurt his back, Busick hurt her back, and I got to play regular. And the way Don looked at me when I played regular, I got my goals. I was doing my job and protecting the guys, and I got more goals than I thought I'd ever get. But you got the goals, and like when Smotzy came back from his injury, that you had to. He had to work his way back in the lineup. He didn't get his job automatically back, and that's the way Don said. And Smotzy was mad, or I'm not getting the ice. He said, "Well, you're not in shape yet. You take 6 weeks off, and back in the day, you had to get back in shape in order to get your job back."
Are you ready to take your love for hockey to the next level? Join the Fight Club Raw Knuckles exclusive Patreon to unlock amazing perks like ad-free episodes, bonus interviews, and even a chance to win a game day experience with me in the Habs Cave. Don't miss out on this ultimate hockey experience.
And Chris, you had mentioned that you guys had scraps, so I'm going to tee up 3 of them that I know about. Okay, so here's the first fight that I'm aware of, and I think this is the one that you guys were talking about where you may have hit
I
Miller.
hit Bobby Miller.
All right, so let's play.
And Nilan in a battle with Jonathan. Chris Nilan and Stan Jonathan, toe-to-toe. Young man from West Roxbury and Jonathan. Oh, boy, what a battle.
Oof, I missed, and then I tried to trip him. That was not a good move on my part. Stan is so low and solid on the ice. I mean, what was I thinking? There's no way I could have tripped him.
But I tell you what, when I saw that for the first, I didn't know who you were, obviously, because I couldn't believe that you could actually stand toe-to-toe with Stan. I mean, it was pretty amazing.
Well, listen, here's the deal. I know when I hit Bobby, he came right at me. And from my point, being a kid from Boston, a Bruins fan, here I am with Montreal. And, I always wanted to be a Bruin. And then we're playing the Bees. And think of this, John. Tell me if your asshole wouldn't get tight before the game. You know who's on the other side? Stan Jonathan, Terry O'Reilly, John Wensink, Al Secord, Wayne Cashman. So, what do you do? So when Stan came right away, I'm like, well, here we go. And that, that was my first year. That was the first really, and I fought Terry later in that game, and he hit me with a left so freaking hard on the button, the blood just poured right out of my head. Didn't break my nose, but I couldn't see. I was like, And that's the game that I changed my style of fighting in order for me. I said, if I fight like that every night, like just wide open, crazy, I'm going to end up, something bad's going to happen, and it's going to be difficult to rebound from. And you can't,
and I
can't lose a lot of fights or you're done.
I have that one just so Stan can see it because he hasn't seen any of the interviews. So hold on one second.
I said, I'm going to hit him. I threw one punch and he come back and hit me with 2 lefts. And I was like,
here we go.
That was the fight that changed things for me.
Nilan and O'Reilly ready to square off. So young Nilan goes with O'Reilly. Earlier it was Jonathan.
Boom. Oh, I was hurt right there. The first punch. Oh yeah, he did. Thanks. Thanks.
I'm glad we had those old tapes to bring back a lot of memories. But the thing is, like Chris said, there, you fight with certain guys, and you got to change your style. And biggest thing, I thought I was a smaller guy, but I worked on it, and I tried to get the guy's arm. But I think back in the day, is he left or is he right? I tried to tie up his arm a little more before he got that punch right in the head. And I one guy that hit me is Gillies one day, and Oh, I didn't know where he was. I know he gave me a concussion. And I just tried to hold my nose and not bleed out in the eyes and get to the penalty box and sit down and see if I still got a hit. But that is what Chris is saying. You had to change your style, especially these guys, Bouchard and the guy. They had such long arms on us.
Yeah.
I mean, like there's another guy. What's his name? And then when I met him, well, I know him, but when I met him, heck, his arms were down to his knees. Right?
Yeah,
And they had me by 6. It felt like they were like Larry Robinson. When he grabbed me and pushed me out one day, I said, "What did I do?" And like I'm 16 inches, 20 inches from him, and there's no way I can hit him. Right? What I do? How would I pissed him off or whatever? But there was no hope. I just like a lot of times that I just get close to the guys and we're going to really spring, but I grabbed their pants and held on and tried to get them off their feet and
Stan.
right? It's like Chris is saying that you change your style or whatever, get in close and maybe get a couple punches. But these guys, they all been through the fights and they can. They asked me who's the toughest in the thing. I said I don't know because all of them are. If you're in that. Playing that type of hockey, you're gonna get like Chris said, right on the nose. Somebody's gonna get you one time, but hopefully, like you can see, well, I won't do that again.
Yeah, hopefully you get the edge more than you end up on the bottom. But that game, I remember going to the penalty box and Terry was going like this to me, pointing to his left, and I was like, one, my pride was hurt. Two, here's the guy I absolutely love and looked up to, and he just give it to me, right? And I sat in the box and I said to myself, there's no way if I fight like that in the future, I'm going to last in this league and I got to change. So what I would do, I would fight the way I wanted to fight. And like Stan said, in our fight, we're both trying to tie up our strong arm. So I knew if the guy was a lefty or righty moving forward, I made sure I knew that. And I always take his strong arm away from him at the beginning of the fight and then pick my way through the fight. And if they were big...
The interesting thing about both of you is you could both fight with both hands. Were you always able to do that?
Not so much. Again, I was more righty, but I knew at times I had to be able to use my left, so I would practice throwing my left, I would practice hit the bag sometimes with my left and just keep my right down by my side just to get a little confidence in it. Because if you don't have the confidence in it and you throw it, you're going down. If you miss or you can't throw it a second time, you're in trouble. So it took me a while, but I got it. But I'm a better righty than a lefty for sure.
And Stan, that's what Don Jerry said you were so effective. Besides being as strong as any player in the league, that you could use both left and right equally as effective.
Yeah, I think that come from back home when I got 14 kids in our family. You get to the supper table, you grab left or right, whatever the potatoes are in this, and you get your potatoes, scoop of potatoes before all the brothers and sisters know. But I learned it because I was always shorter, and come to the junior, I didn't think I had to do that much fighting too, but I did. And you learn from most of the time the guy is right-handed, so my left hand I try to learn from tying them up, and I learned when I went to junior, and I had a helmet on, put your head down, I grabbed the guy right beside the collar, and you just throw where your hand was. Keep your head down, you try to hit your hand, and hopefully that's where his head is, right? And 9 out of 10 you're getting more in than he is, but I learned to, with my left hand, is to tie this guy's up. Like Chris is right-handed, so I try to tie. I couldn't grab Chris by the collar. I had to grab him by the arm or forearm, or a lot of people you can grab beside his glove.
Get closer to the action in the Fight Club with the Raw Knuckles podcast over on Patreon. Whether you're an instigator, enforcer, or aiming for the Hall of Fame, there's something for everyone waiting for you. Don't miss your chance to be part of the ultimate hockey community.
I wanted to ask you, when you first joined the Bruins, did anybody test you in practice? I know it happened to Terry O'Reilly, happened to Al Secord and a few other players, but did you ever get in any scraps either in the farm team or against your just the players that you played with, your teammates, or with the
I
Bruins?
think I had a few scraps in training camp. And we had 80, 90 players there, and you knew Cashman and you read about the guys who were there last year. So I think everybody else was free game. And what it was, and I played hard as I could against the players that had possibly could make on a left wing side, right? And Harry, I think the one I had over 200, close to 200 minutes in training camp in 10 games, right? So I was working my butt off, and if I had to fight in training camp, sure, but not against the teams, not against my own teammates. That's what it is. We looked after each other even in training camp, and the way that Harry, all the guys that are left winger had a possible first round draft choice, and they got the first year you didn't notice it. Second year you noticed it. He roomed the guy with me. Right, I played on like we had a scrimmage. The guy was on my team, right? So I really couldn't beat him up. I couldn't play the game. I said, hey, Harry, put him on the other goddamn team so I can see if he's worth anything. And no, they wouldn't do it. Like they wouldn't tell me, but you, as a guy like Chris and myself, you know you had to work your job. You never got a job, just like a job. If there was a guy coming up and Chris probably knows from the Montreal. I'm gonna fight with him because I want to see if he's gonna take my job. He's got to beat me out of a job, right? Physically and the way I play hockey. Harry and Tommy and those guys always put the guy on my team, and he made me room with the guys, right? And that's I knew they were doing it, and right, and I should have went in the house and should have went in the room and changed sweaters on them and go on the other team. But like I said, Chris, we had to work our butt off every year. Our job was not given to us. We always felt we had to work twice as hard as the other guy because he's a number one draft or he's second draft and he's got a job. And I felt on the left side, that guy's going to earn his job. As long as I'm on the ice with the Bruins, he's going to earn his job to be on this team. He's not going to go walk by me and just get a job.
No.
So let's look at another fight that you guys had that I found, and you guys. First of all, what was it like on that first fight, Stan? Do you remember that by chance? And what were you thinking with a young guy? A college player from Boston, and maybe you didn't know it at the time, fighting, a Bruin. That must have been, not that it mattered to you because you.
I didn't look up Chris's record or something like that to see what it is, and anything. Chris he got to training camp, I'm sure, same as I did, and I thought that's the player played, and like I think Chris respects me and I respect him right from the first fight. And that's the way he plays. We're going to get into it because what the thing is that Terry fought most of the guys on left side, and Winston did too. Chris is a right-handed player, so we know we're going to bump heads someplace, right? And we play the same style. I said, but he's a fourth line player. I'm a fourth line player, so we know we're going to clash sometime.
We know we're going to meet
sooner than better. So see what's going to go on. No, that's why I'm saying, like Chris, one swing, and I didn't know. Like you say, you're still learning how Chris moves, how he shows. Yeah, I could feel his whole arm. He wanted to kill me. I know, but I had the helmet. I think I ducked. He's moving. I ducked underneath his head.
You were good. You were good.
Me.
Well, let me show you another one, and then we'll get to the third.
Nilan and Jonathan ready to go again, and Harris will throw them out. Neither able to land a punch.
Yeah, see where I got his good hand? I got it right on his sleeve.
You got me good.
Stan Jonathan. They are tough, and what Harris and the linesmen are doing is letting them go till they wear each other out. Jonathan has a knack of smiling. I don't know. And finally, they are separated.
It's funny, that fight, that the next day, the picture in the Boston Globe was me and Stan and the Herald with our heads right against each other. Both our heads. Like, they didn't show us punching each other. They just, our foreheads were touching. It was funny. But I don't know what started that fight, but whatever, something did, and we fought. But we had some good bouts. And it's funny, I had a friend who was a karate guy, a kid from South Boston, good friend of mine, Tom Regan. And he told me, he said, Chris, I watch you fight. You got to start throwing uppercuts.
Oh, yeah.
You got to start throwing uppercuts because you're throwing over the top a lot, and sometimes you're going to miss. And if you come over the top and miss, come back with an uppercut. And he had studied me and said, start doing this. It's going to help you. And I did, especially with the bigger guys.
Oh, yes.
So, yeah, that was a good fight. And it was kind of going back and forth there, and just a good bout. Respect each other. Believe me, I saw the fight with Bouchard, right? And everybody talks about that fight. Pierre was doing well in that fight. You both were. He was connecting early, but boy, when you hit him with that one punch near the end, the poor bastard.
Why don't I go ahead and I'll skip the one, and then I'll show you that.
That was
fight
a good
now.
fight, right, Stan?
Oh, yeah.
Up until that last.
I'm glad I had my head on the. Oh, yeah.
That was a good fight.
Like it was yesterday.
Right?
I'm going to play it now, and then you can comment.
I'm glad I wasn't on the receiving end of that. I'm going to tell you.
And now Jonathan and Bouchard. Here they go. Jonathan and Pierre Bouchard. And Jonathan lands some right hands on Bouchard. Bouchard pounding away with the right hand. Now Jonathan with the left hand. And falls on top of Bouchard. We have another one going. Wensick pounding away at the other Montreal player. Lupien, I think it is. It's Big Gilles Lupien. And now Lupien and Wensick. Now Lupien throws Wensick to the ice.
Yeah, we know something was going to happen. There was one of those games that, what did kind of started. I was face-off allowed right in front of the Montreal bench. And Lupien's always like that. He's always yapping, standing up, and he's a big boy. And Bouchard was on. Bouchard's not
another guy that's passed away.
Oh, yeah,
by the
I
way.
didn't know that.
Gilles Lupien, right?
Oh, yeah, just sorry to hear that. Anyway, I looked at them both, and I'm 3 feet from when taking the face off right in front of their bench, and Lupien's a lippy guy, and he's sitting on the bench, and Bouchard sitting right beside him. I said, "Hey, don't be yelling at me from the bench. Ask your coach, or ask that cement you got for a coach. Let's you out here. Let Ben mouth off and see what basically is." So I think I had them kind of pissed off at me before they got on the ice, and they wanted to kill me for just being yourself. I don't talk back to guys, and I don't.
I know you weren't a yapper.
I don't think if you want to say something, let's dance and we'll see what happens. And I think I had Bouchard and them pissed off at me, and we know something's going to happen because they run at somebody, and Peter McNabb was face off, and I was already on the ice. That's what the referees didn't like. If something's going to happen, if the referee puts his arm up, there's going to be a penalty, but I see something going to happen. I jumped over. So they couldn't get me at leaving the bench after the whistle blew because the fine and everything else, more penalty minutes. But I was already on the ice, and Don just looked, "Take Peter." Right, so we knew something was going to happen with Winsink and myself and Terry out there. And I think a lot of our frustration built up. The Canadians are beating us again, and right, it's like me. I think the two cups they won the cup in Boston, and I did my damnedest to get. I'm not seeing that cup, and I'm on the ice. I did something. I know I got kicked out of the game before that cup was. I was going to sit on the bench to watch that couple. I was in the dressing room someplace. But it just, like you said, the fight, it was like, I don't know, it was going pretty good. I just kept on swinging the best you could, and I caught him a couple of times on the side of the head before I switched hands, and right, that's the way it happens, and it could happen to me like the next time we ever went at it. But I did the best I could in that fight. He said he pulled me in too close, but hey, you're not. You're swinging your life.
You're not thinking that when you're doing it, right?
You're not. You haven't got time to think. I'm just hoping I'm glad he did pull me in a little closer, because my arms against his arms are probably 6 to 10 inches shorter. So yeah, it's still
you could reach him.
I'm talked about more than average, especially around Montreal. I've done things up in Montreal, and they look at me and like I'm looking at Chris, and all they know is Bouchard. I said, I'm not Bouchard. No, you're the one that beat my favorite player.
Yeah.
So that's the way I look at it. It's like me. I don't mind talking about it. And I've met Bouchard. I did a radio show with him. He'd come to Cottonwagna and get autographs for me and him together.
Nice guy, right?
Yes,
a great guy.
And even went to Boston. Phil down there, that we sat inside house together and see how the family is doing and everything. And like his family, that I could leave it. Game and not worry about it after. And when we beat on the ice again, fine. But I'm not looking or bragging about what you did, right? I'm just glad that it happened. I come out on the top that time, man.
Yeah, it's funny, and we were talking just quick, John. Stan was talking about training camp and guys coming in and having to fight guys and having to fight for your job. You've got to constantly do that, right? I learned that. I came in, I wanted to fight everybody because I wanted to prove myself. I did. Then you're there. Then everybody wants to come in and fight you because they want to prove themselves. And Bouchard, what I felt bad about Pierre, honestly, was that next year, was my first year at training camp, and they got rid of him. He lost that one fight, and see you later, Pierre. He ended up going to Washington. I felt so looking back on it, I felt bad for him because he ended up, having to leave Montreal, losing that one fight.
Yeah.
And that stuck in my head too as a player. You got to talk about trying to defend yourself well on the ice, but also go on the offense. If I didn't fight smart,
you'd be gone.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that like happening to me. Well, if I got hit like that, boom, down, I'm gone. And then the next day you come in and, see you later. All of a sudden they lose confidence in you and you're gone. So that a lot of people don't realize that when they talk about tough guys and how difficult that part of it was, and it was. And I felt bad for Pierre because of that. And he's just a wonderful guy.
Yeah,
a wonderful guy.
At next training camp, and I knew if Pierre was there, right, we'd probably fight again. I'm saying I'm not saying give him a chance, but they traded him to Washington, and I got to meet him after and did some things. He said, I had 2 black eyes. I'm in the parade for the Stanley Cup, and there was one guy that he said, he ran along right beside the car with my number on it. Possible number on it, and kept bugging him, harassing him, and then I said, "Oh, sorry." You don't say sorry. You just say it happens, and right. And I was always taught, don't say sorry because you won the fight or thing. It was built in your thing to be a Bruin. A Bruin, and always be that. Back in the day, that you were there and you did well, and right, you don't say sorry. He said, I was there and it could happen to me the next time. That's how I felt.
Yeah, exactly.
And Stan, let me ask you, Chris came from a very tough neighborhood, street fights, was the norm there. And obviously that helped him along with his dad, being a Green Beret and one of the toughest guys in the area. But how did you learn how to fight? I mean, what was it? Fighting your brothers? Was it fighting?
In a way, we never swung or anything back home. right? Everything, but you're wrestling around with all the guys at school, the bigger kids, and right. And it was just, I think the thing because there that my uncle bought us a pair of boxing gloves one day, and brought them home, and let the kids, so you're not hurting each other. Just a big, heavy boxing glove. So if you did hit somebody, you're not trying to hurt them, but it just give you a little shock, and you learn from that. But you watch it. I think it's just maybe my attitude all the way up in school that I never really fought, but and the one thing I think I do remember, my dad told me I got kicked out of school for fighting, and my mom told me that, well, you got to talk to Dad about this. Right, so when Dad come home and he said, "I heard you're out of school. What was the problem?" And I got fighting out of school and I was kicked out. He said, "Well, do you start it?" I said, "No, Dad, I didn't start it. It was a friend of mine. I jumped in and I went in and I got fighting with a guy and I didn't start it. Did you finish it?" I said, "Yeah, but I never started." I said, "Okay, you don't get a licking for that, but you don't start it." But I said, "Well, the way he explained it, if you get kicked out of school for fighting, you lost, then you're going to get a strap at home because you lost, because you started it and this." And I said, "Well, then I think it's better off to win, and right, because you're not going to strap it. You didn't start it, and I never got the belts because I thought I was standing up for somebody, and I did all right, but I was kicked out of school for it." And my dad said, "Well, I thought after if you lose at school, your dad's going to lick you. You lost twice. Why be that? Better smarten up and win. But if you start it right, that's a different problem. You're like a bully or something like that, eh?"
Calling all hockey lovers. Upgrade your podcast experience by becoming an enforcer. Gain access to the greatest hockey doc ever, The Last Gladiators. And don't settle for ordinary. Join the Fight Club over on Patreon today.
So, Stan, when you joined Junior A's, from what I understand from one of your former teammates, is that you played for the Junior A Hamilton Finn
No,
Cups?
I played for the Peterborough Pete's.
I mean, you played, I'm sorry, I meant to say that you played against, and you had epic battles, and I'm supposed to ask you this question, with a guy named Dave Norris.
Yes.
And you had a lot of fights with
Dave
him.
Norris. I played with him my first year, Stan, in Halifax. The little guy but long arms. Dave Nubba Norris.
Yeah. And I think I fought him once or twice a game. And his coach kept sending him after me, sending me out there. And I did well. I guess I don't think I lost anything to him, but he was a guy that would come to you all the time and say, what's wrong with you anyway, right? But he was a gutsy player, and what happened in Peterborough, I guess he couldn't beat me, but Bouchard, I just went up to him in a face-off. I thought, if you're going to do something, do it now. But he put about 6 inches out of his stick and just butted into him in the mouth, like knocked both teeth out in the front. And I said, "What the?" Like I think I went down to one knee and I come out and I come up swinging and I went in and got stitched up after that one. And as soon as you get back on the ice, I had to go to the penalty box, and I went in the penalty box, but it was a. Here in the penalty box between the timekeeper and everything, I went straight over and started pounding. I made sure that door was locked so the referees and nobody could get in, and I pounded on him again. And he still, until the next game, he's still coming at me. But he butted into me. I thought I'd be. You look at guys like Chris and everything. You drop your gloves. You're not using your stick to get an advantage, but he butted into me, knocked my both front teeth out, and. Right, and I played against him down in internationally. I'm not sure who he played for, Kalamazoo or whatever, and I always played for Dayton. And he started his shit again in there, and I went through, and the guy was going to fight him, I went through, and he's looking at me, what I do to you again? And I said, look, I just smiled at him. No teeth, right? I said, you're never going to get, I don't care where I see you, I don't take that attitude in a bar later or something, but he's one guy I think I'd go on the ice or off the ice or wherever you want to make, because there was no reason to butt into me. I would have fought him, but knock both teeth out the same game, spit him out, and go get stitched up and go get him again. So it was these coaches that probably send him out there. But he, like I'm saying, probably is a nice guy and everything, but just on the ice, it changes everybody.
Yeah, his coach at the time, I think was Bert. Was it Bert Templeton? His coach, yes. I think, at the time, and Bert was. That's how Bert coached. He made guys go.
I'd like to have seen Bert, right?
Yeah.
Like after,
he's the guy.
Career, probably a good guy, good coach, but like Roger Middleton never set me on the ice. Don Sherry never patted me on the back.
Yeah.
Then more or less, he said, like Chris and to us, that we knew our job, we knew our role. If something got out of hand out there, right, we were out there right behind for our players, but not get patted on the back thing. And I know
you didn't have to be told.
I wanted to go and find Bert after my junior career is over. Believe me, what the hell is wrong with you? And why would you do this every game? And like I said, your kids, you got to do if you want to be there on the team and be one of the best. What I mean by that, I was told when I didn't think I'd make NHL. I wait until I ended my junior career that you couldn't get drafted and stuff. But I wanted to be a Dougie Jarvis. He played in and out every game. He played hard, and Dougie moved up, and I moved up, and that was the best thing I liked because I didn't have the. Well, the guy told me once, you can be a big fish in a small pond or small fish in a big pond if you want to advance. These guys you're trying to play against get better and better and better. It's not like you're the local guys you skate with. If you want to improve yourself and get better, you got to play against guys that are better, right?
Stan, I'm glad you brought up the butt and losing teeth because Chris doesn't know anything about butts or losing teeth or anything like that. Right, Chris?
Yeah, well...
and I'm talking about Rick Middleton. I'm just giving you a little joke.
Yeah,
there.
No, that's okay because that's probably the... it's the one thing I regret about my NHL career is hitting Rick Middleton in the mouth with...
Do you even know about that, Stan?
No, I don't, but probably...
I hit Nifty, and people say I hit him with my stick. I have my stick in my hand, and I hit him like that with the back of my glove, and I hit him right in the yap. And he had a plate in his mouth, and I knocked the tooth out and went through his lip. It was the thing I was ashamed of what I did because that isn't me. I had a lot of frustration on that night. We were playing in Boston, and we came together in the corner, and he inadvertently high stick me in the head. And Kerry Fraser was the referee, and there was no call. I was pissed off, and it pissed me off to the point where I got pissed at Rick, and I shouldn't have been because he didn't even mean to hit me with the stick. And I turned back and hit him. And it's the one thing I regret, like I said, in my career. And
Do you mind if I play it?
Yeah, you can play it.
Nilan can't believe he's being called for anything. We're going to get a chance to see it. Nilan and Middleton tied up there. Oh, butt ended Middleton right in the face. How can Nilan possibly say to Kerry Fraser, how come you're calling me?
Should be an attempt to end your 5 minutes.
Without a doubt.
Without a doubt. You know what that was? And again, I hit him with my glove, the back of my glove. I didn't hit him with my stick. And I contend that to this day. If I hit him with a stick, I would have ripped his face open.
Yeah, and that's
again,
a lot of times at our height and everything, to me, I got a lot of cuts and people think I broke my nose, but I was shorter and you try to you try to take the check honestly, and most of the time the sticks come around up on my eyes. I got cuts all over the place, but I never broke my nose, but it just shows reaction, and maybe it tipped off my arms.
Yeah, it was a bad. For me, it was a bad reaction on me, and it's funny. Fred says he should get 5 minutes for that. You know what I got for that? They don't have the penalty anymore in the league. I got a 10-minute major penalty. We had to play shorthanded for 10 minutes.
Oh.
It was intent to injure and cause injury. So we were shorthanded for 10 minutes.
Wow.
The Canadians.
Yeah.
The Bruins scored like 3 goals that night, and it was a regular season game, and yeah, I got suspended 8 games for that.
Wow.
It was
Right.
the one thing that I regret in my NHL career, no question.